Hey guys, I hope you are well. We are recording. I have a microphone just so you can hear me better today because I'm in Ibiza and there's loud crickets behind me. But I am back with Elaine Thompson. How are you, Elaine?
I'm fine today. Very hot, but I'm fine.
Good. Yeah, me and you both. I'm in Ibiza and you're in the UK, and
Yes.
you are just as hot as me, I'm sure. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get you back on. I have just completed Sound Therapy Foundation #1 with you, which has been incredible. So it's vibrational, learning all about the frequencies and finding out information about people through their voice, which is astonishing work and which you do lots of. And obviously we've discussed a little bit before. But I think it's really important to kind of understand your journey into sound and kind of how you got into it, because you've got quite a cool story. And I want to feature you way more on I Am Sound. So it's just more getting to know you so people can kind of identify with that as we build and grow. So first and foremost, Elaine, how did you get into sound?
How did I get into sound? Well, I started out in my life as a kind of a hands-on healer. Now, people would kind of normally go to Reiki, but back then it was the National Federation of Spiritual Healers. So I was always aware of energy and stuff like that and healing people. So my focus was to try and help other people in whatever way I could. So one day, and this is extraordinary because I don't normally dream, or well, I dream, but I don't remember my dreams. One day I lay down in the afternoon for a nap, and I had this extremely vivid dream that that sound cures everything, does everything, you know, the whole 9 yards. It's like, and I woke up thinking, oh my goodness, this is it. Okay. So, and then I was left with, well, how, you know, what do I use? Bowls, gongs, tuning forks. And back then we were still using cassette tapes and all of that stuff. And it's not that long ago. I thought, well, maybe I could, as I play the piano, maybe I could play a few chords in the note of C and D and so on, and record them on cassette tapes and just give them to people to do. So anyway, life gets in the way. And it wasn't until an amazing woman arrived at my center to stay for a couple of weeks, Joan Ocean. Now, I didn't know who she was, but we kind of got on like house on fire straight away, like sisters. And several things happened, and she ended up inviting me to go and stay with her. And I said, well, where do you live? She said, oh, I live in Hawaii and I swim with the dolphins all the time, which is, of course, sound and energy and all that sort of stuff. So I couldn't believe it. So I saved up every penny I had and got out there as fast as I could. And casually, in passing, she said, oh, I know you're interested in sound and you're looking for a way to kind of do it or do something with it. Maybe you'd like to watch this video. Well, she put this video on that had been made, but this was back in 1995, made by this lady, Sherry Edwards. And when I watched it, my jaw hit the floor. You know, she was talking about people regrowing their kidneys, about curing people of emphysema, of doing just about anything you could think of. And I thought, and the way she explained it, I thought, oh my God, this is it. This is it. It's either it or it is total rubbish, you know. So I thought the only way I can find out is to go to America and see for myself. So this is the great divine energy at work, the field of all that is. I didn't have enough money. I'd already spent money going to, and that was my first encounter with dolphins too. And that was like trial by fire because I was so afraid of deep water and everything like that. But it was amazing. So I asked around all my friends and I said, would you sponsor me £20, you know, and because I'd paid for the flights. It was a February, it was freezing cold, but I hadn't paid for the class. which was, I think, about $1,286. And one of my friends had said, well, yes, I'll sponsor you. Why don't you come over? So I ended up at her house in between Christmas and New Year, which, as you know, you never get any post or anything then. Everything's really quiet. Nobody's doing anything except having fun. And it was the middle of the week, and I got there and we sat down to tea, and she said, a letter arrived for me this morning. I said, oh, really? She said, yes. She said, and I'd like you to have it. So I said, well, okay, And she said, and I opened it up, and in the letter was a check in dollars for $1,286. And she explained that she was a singer and she'd been on tour. She had her bags taken. She claimed on the insurance this was a year prior, and it had taken all that time until that specific day I was going there to arrive. And that was it. I was on my way. And when I got there, you just wouldn't believe what I saw. I saw people who could barely walk coming in for a session with her, like on double sticks, after having had a terrible accident, within half an hour of the sound, or 20 minutes, running up and down the corridor. Wow. And then there was another lady who was actually a police officer who needed glasses to see, and she was demonstrating. She said, okay, and she gave her like something she hadn't read before. Read that without your glasses on. She couldn't read it. Put the glasses on, she could read it. Put the sound on, take your glasses off, she could read it. And that was just one of many amazing things I saw. And without any shadow of a doubt, I realized this is real. This is real. This is not a joke. This is not trying to catch people out. And I came back so excited about it, because I thought everybody must know about this. And I phoned up Kindred Spirit, which was the magazine, which had just started. And I said, you've got to come down here and see it. Try this. And the editor came down. He was with me for 10 hours. And at the end of it, he said, right, I am going to write you an article. It won't be out for a couple of months. But long story short, when the article came out in November, thank goodness it did, because all through the summer I had building works going on, I was inundated, absolutely. When I say inundated, the phone did not stop ringing, so much so that I had to go and get a secretary. And that began another phase of my life with a very dear friend of mine. I won't even go into that. A secretary, and you could not, I was seeing 3 people a day and running a business. You could not get an appointment with me for like 9 months. It was crazy. And it's gone on like that ever since, if you want to call it spirit or upstairs or whatever, seems to be highly involved with where I go next. And I never know where I'm going to go next with it. Mm-hmm. But I it opened a whole world of understanding at a level I'd never even conceived of before, about how people interact with each other vocally, how partnerships work, how people can almost inadvertently cause the other person to become sick without realizing, and the dynamics between families, why children sometimes get sick, because they are filling in the gaps vocally between their parents or their situation. I mean, it just is never ending, and the possibilities are limitless. And I've been at it 30 years now, and I know that I've not even scratched the surface. There's so much more.
Yeah. I absolutely love this, and I wanted you to just describe your story like you just have done, because there's you know, we're living on a planet right now that is distorted. The environment is heavily distorted. We are completely out of harmonic resonance with everything around us. We are out of balance. There is no harmony. You look around, you're like distortion, distortion, distortion. Whether it's the news, whether it's, you know, the press, or whether it's having a conversation with someone, whether you should take a vaccine, whether you shouldn't, all of this stuff is
Absolutely.
distorted environment. And I have been looking into theories about what's happening on the world, and a very dear friend of mine recently just said, let's not call them conspiracy theories. Let's just call them theories, because, you know, it sounds better.
Yeah.
And it's true, because, you know, a lot of them are coming true now, which is really
Yeah,
scary.
absolutely.
And so they're not conspiracies anymore. They're actually like, oh, that's just happened in the news. So we're seeing things differently, and we are in a point in a crisis. And I feel we're in a point where we can change. But the only way that we change is when we decide to change. Right now, people are handing over their power, saying, oh, the government's doing this, or the NHS is doing this, or, you know, the top 1% in the world's doing this.
Yes.
We're doing it.
Yes.
We're maintaining this environment that we don't want to live in. We're maintaining by our choices every day this environment. And it's because we don't know, largely, even some of it, obviously a lot of people do know that they're not doing what they should be doing, but there's a guilt, but they don't really know how to change it. And obviously working with you for that week with the great team that we had, and with Phil, and that, you know, it's just a magical week actually, you know, living with you, basically being like, right, okay, what we're doing today. And it's all sound, it's all about healing and using the voice. And it's because with the planet right now, we have a lack of a sincere communication. And the communication we do have is this distorted vocal resonance that can make people sick, that can change people's physiology, that can change people's lives without us realizing the power that we have. Yes. And I think it's so valuable, obviously, having I Am Sound and, you know, helping people understand what that actually means is for me, it's the future. And I feel like the future's safe because I know what we can do in it. So now I'm on my way to go and help people in that way. Yes. But you're coming at it from 30 years. And you've done so much. You've got so many stories. You've done so much great work. You're working with my mom. You work with me. You know, I feel, I didn't tell you, but I went to have a kind of chakra, multidimensional energy reading with a lady called Alatea that was on my station, on my channel the other day. And whenever I do any energy work, you know, there's always kind of, you know, like working on the chakras. She said, you have nothing to balance. She goes, I didn't need to do anything in your chakras. She said, and I've been listening to the tones every single day since I came to the class. And she said, you have nothing to balance. And I'm like, wow. Oh. And for me, and I do feel great. I feel like I'm in tune with myself and in my environment. Yes. It feels great. But your history, you know this works, but I'd like to ask you the future. Like, where do you want this to go? Where can you see it going? And what does that vision look like? How do we as humans align with that and help you get to where you want to go?
Well, I think the biggest, I won't say a block because it's not, but the biggest issue is that people do not or have not opened up to the fact that this actually is like a science. It really works. They don't understand it. They don't understand it. Lots of people just think, oh, well, yes, they know about gongs and bowls because that's now becoming much more established, to having a gong bath or a tuning fork thing and energy work. But we're almost preaching to the converted there because they know about stuff like that. And I've always worked at what I call the very sick end of the population. The people that have tried everything and nothing works, or they're in their last stages of cancer, or they've been diagnosed with an incurable disease. And my aim is to try and train as many people so that it's like the 100th monkey, so more people will find out. Because I've found with something like this, I've never advertised because I did once or twice, never got anything from it. And this is the kind of thing that you have to experience it, and then and then you tell your friends. And I think when we look at globally for planetary change, you are right. It's every single individual is not making the choice because they don't know they have the choice. And then they think, well, I'd like to make that choice. I'd like to follow my heart, but how can I? I've got a mortgage, I've got this, and they don't trust. And you can't blame them because it's a manic, crazy world out there with everything. Almost, it's like everything is always just out of reach. So you just got to earn a bit more, just stay a bit longer, do this. And this helps people not only with very, very physical things, but it helps people recognize their inner power. This is all about empowering people to recognize that they can heal themselves. They don't need anything else. Now, all right, then somebody will come forward and argue and say, well, what happens if you got cancer and la, 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 la. Yes, I totally understand. It's a very difficult problem. A serious disease is a difficult problem. And I'm not purporting to cure anything. But this can really, really help. It changes your internal patterning, your internal belief system. It brings it up for you to examine and say, well, why do I believe that? Because so many people do not believe in themselves. They don't believe in themselves. They don't have enough self-love. And we live in an era now where this is the biggest opportunity ever in the history of the whole earth, ever since it was created, for us to change our complete paradigm, one person at a time. It's you can't fix everybody else. Fix yourself, and then when others see that you're like that, they think that's what I want. Well, if they can do it, I can do it. Mm-hmm. So sound is a multi-dimensional tool that not only helps you to balance your health, it balances the mind. Because I mean, really, this era is all about coming out of this left logical brain into the heart and allow the heart to lead you
to sing.
But it's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's really not. There's a lot of avoidance, and personal responsibility coaching is what I originally did because I totally was not taking responsibility, wanted to complain about everything or being like, oh, life's not fair. I was shit on nearly every level.
Yes.
And everywhere you looked,
yes.
I was stepping up into my true power. And I was blaming everyone else, and I was avoiding, and I was thinking, oh, if this didn't happen, or this, it's like, no, do better. And people hate the word better because they're like, oh, it means you're not enough. I wasn't enough. I wasn't happy. I wasn't where I wanted to be, and I wanted to expand in a way that I knew I could, but I wasn't doing it. And since I started taking personal responsibility, which is absolute ownership of everything that floats by your existence.
Totally.
Whether it's yours or not. Since I did that, things changed. My world has been created by me with amazing results, but also because I've also chucked away a good 80 to 90% of all the spiritual drama and all the spiritual kind of other things that are out there that I see as distractions. And I have faith in God. Yes. I have faith, and I have a faith in something higher than me. You can call it God, source, music, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I have faith that there's something higher than me, and I have faith in myself to step up and meet it.
That's
and
all you need.
Yeah. And it's so powerful to feel like that. But this is not just about me. This is about, I found a solution that works for me. And if anybody can hear background noise, I do apologize. I don't know what's going on. I have to hear a little bit. I found a solution that works for me via yourself and obviously by taking my own actions. But if somebody's studying sound or knows nothing about sound, could they still come and study with you if they know nothing?
Absolutely. Yes. I've had a lot of people come who were just curious, and some people who know a lot about sound, like singers and musicians, who get the whole concept and then they kind of integrate it into what they're doing. Mm-hmm. This doesn't have to be. It's for those people who don't want to be practitioners. this is just a tool that opens your mind to all the possibilities that are absolutely there that you've never even thought of. So yes, that's
Yeah. And there's a point in the limited beliefs of people, the closed mindedness of people, that they think that it could be woo woo because it's not physical.
no,
Can you explain very much in terms of, like, although you're not using an instrument as such, can you
no.
explain, because it's not physical, how the sound actually does work with the body and why?
Okay, so if we just replace the word sound with frequency, that might make it a little bit easier. But initially, I will start off when I'm trying to explain to somebody. If you have a phone call with a friend or a relative, you can tell by the tone of their voice whether they're happy, sad, fed up, or what they are, or angry. Okay, so we're talking about the tone of their voice. Well, what is the tone of their voice? If you were looking at anything like a heart monitor or a voice recording, it displays on the screen as a wave form. Okay, and frequency has many languages. The basic language that by where we can understand it is mathematics. So we can say, oh, the Schumann resonance is 7.3 hertz, 7.83 hertz. Okay, so we've just translated something that is nebulous into a number. So we have a way of identifying what it resonates at. So then you can take that number and you can multiply it and you can change it into a musical note. You can say, oh, well, that frequency actually comes within the note of C or D. So now we know it's a something and it's a note of D. And also you can translate it into color because color has frequency. So if you multiply the number up, you will find what color it represents. So now we've got 3 or 4 different languages. We've got maths, we've got color, we've got light, and musical tones. So it's getting people to understand that if you have an outburst, a temper outburst, in your voice, you are putting out into the air the emotion of the anger in your voice, but you're changing the tone of your voice. Now, I have been to various kind of brain institutes and been wired up and stuff like that. And I can say categorically that when you say anything or sing or speak, your brain waves move up and down in tandem to match exactly what's coming out of your mouth. So basically, by what comes out of your mouth, you are controlling your brainwaves. And it's the difference between when we say, oh, look at that baby, isn't she lovely? Right, now I have just given myself a shot of endorphins because of that emotion. It changed my brainwaves, it changed my voice, and I altered my chemicals without thinking. If I went outside and, I don't know, stepped in some dog doos or something like that, I'd go, oh, I hate that. So I've just given myself stressor chemicals without even realizing it. And it's just taking a moment for the average person to stop and think about it quietly. Oh, yeah. That's why I felt sick after somebody shouted at me. That's why I feel hot and sweaty and want to run away after a day at work. Because if you've got someone that doesn't like you or you don't like them, like a boss or something, they are plonking you with that frequency all day long, and it affects your chemistry. Your stress levels go up and so on. So if you bear that in mind, that means that if I know what brainwaves are going up and down, if I want to know, I look in your voice and it will tell me, especially when you speak about, if I say to you, tell me about this person that's driving you crazy at work. Okay, they tell me and all the stressor notes will come out. And then I can look and say, oh yeah, your cortisol levels are way up, because I use numbers and lines and things like that. And I can match this with that. So I know what the issue is. And if you take it even further, if you have something like the one of the cases I spoke to you about a child with a severe hemophilia, I could analyze her voice and find by frequency the 4 elements that she was missing. She had von Willebrand's disease. So I knew she was missing tranexamic acid, vitamin K2, the von Willebrand factor, and prothrombin. So then, because I know what those sounds are, I can give them back to her in a formula, in a mathematical formula that stimulates the brain waves to make those chemicals. And with this particular child at 3, from being really, really in a dangerous situation because her blood didn't clot at all, she needed hospital treatment and everything, within 2 weeks of administering the sound in her room, her blood started clotting within 4 minutes. So that's one of the amazing applications. It not only helps you emotionally, physically, and all that sort of stuff, but you can use it in what I call dire situations to help someone heal. And children are especially good because they don't have the emotional baggage that we have. They respond really well, and it's easy. It's not a difficult thing to do. It's like I say to people, this will work despite you. All you have to do is turn it on and listen, or have the box on your body or whatever. And you see, if I was to make mainstream headline 9 o'clock news with that, which would never happen, I'm afraid, in this day and age, you'd get a couple of responses. You'd say, oh, don't be absolutely ridiculous, you can't do that. Or they would say, oh, that's lies. And if they could talk to the people that I've worked with and helped, they, you know, it's not because we're so allopathic. And I must remind people that we've only been allopathic for the last 100 years.
Can you explain what allopathic means as well?
Allopathic is the national health. It's drug-based, treat the symptom and not the cause. Whereas homeopathic is treat the cause, look at the symptom and treat the cause. So this treats the cause as well. This is a holistic thing. And I think eventually, and you know how long things take to settle in the world, this will be the medicine of the future, where you know, if you
to apologize, I should have put that on speaker.
That's okay. This is the medicine of the future. And already, when you actually look in history, you know, the Russians used frequency medicine by way of a scanar device for their astronauts back in the 60s, when they sent astronauts up. And it is recognized in a lot more areas now because people are now becoming more accustomed to the gongs and the bowls. But this has always been an entirely different level. This has always been beyond what people could actually grasp. But now we are ready.
Yeah, totally.
Now, and this is
ready.
That's my job. If you recognize that it's the boss, or it's this, or it's your habit that's causing the problem, this is where you own it for yourself. You become very responsible, and you say, I got to change. I got to change, or this is just going down one route only. Excuse me.
I love it. No, I'm really glad that you went in on it and like that way. There's so much to talk about with you, Elaine. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole because I want to keep it to short chunks. And every time I get you on, I'm going to go in different directions, because for me, I feel like my job is to get as many people as I can into sound and into this world, and looking at this and being like, holy fuck, we have a solution. Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Yes.
And get it, like, figure it out. And it's total ownership of everything that goes on in your life is the glue.
Yes.
And using the sound within that, within that space. So I'm not 100% certain on what the next subject is that we're going to talk about, because I have a long list, and I said to Bryony we're going to choose when we go down. But I wanted to just feature first and foremost you into sound, a little bit of a deeper conversation about it, and then we were going to bring you obviously back on again at some point.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining me today. It's yeah, I love these rabbit holes with you, between you and Miguel and other people that I have. I soak up all of this alternative knowledge that I feel is like sacred, that should be out there. Yes. And it's my job to shine a light on it and be like, ta-da, look what I found.
Well, this is basically the bottom platform. On top of this sits untold levels of energy work, because when you give someone healing, you're giving them a frequency. So this is I think one of the foundation stones,
the baseline. Well, I thank you so much. If you stay there for me, everyone else back at home, thank you so much for watching. If you've liked this, please hit the like button and subscribe. I would love it. I'm going to bring Elaine back to do some more conversations with me, going deeper into the subject of sound. And as you will know, I'm currently in Ibiza. I'm sat in a yurt. This is all my clothes behind me. I don't have a little wardrobe. I have to hang everything up. I'm going rogue, and I'm loving it. So if you could hear the sound of the crickets, I do apologize. But that's what happens when you go traveling. So this is Sound Travels, and we're here. Thank you so much, Elaine. You're a star. And if you want to reach out to Elaine and have a session, all the details will be below and underneath. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.
Bye.